Hello Brats. Right then, so today we're going to be working on a new upcycle figurine. I've got this fella here, he came from the charity shop. He's had some repairs in the past. I think his head came off at some point, but he's been, quite securely glued back on. So I don't think we're going to have any issues with that. So this guy is going to become Father Damien Karras from the film The Exorcist. Doing a little twist, he's going to be Father Damien Karras when he is possessed at the end of The Exorcist and throughout the entirety of The Exorcist 3. So we're going to be giving him the priest's outfit and the possessed face. So what we've got to do first is we've got to give him the priest's collar, the proper name for which escapes me. Right, so I've got all my little bits and pieces together. Put some gloves on because I don't want to get clay underneath my fingernails. We've got a little bit of Sculpey air dry clay. Got some silicone nail art tools, some rollers, little acrylic board and a knife. this is voiceover Emma. I was plagued with technical difficulties during the filming of this one. A bunch of sound didn't record, and for some reason the camera decided to start zooming in and out at random places, so some bits may look like they were filmed on a potato. If I were a superstitious person, I'd say it was Ghost in the Machine maybe, or Pazuzu playing games. If you can hear any purring in the background, that is my cat Kiska, who wants to join in. I shall insert some cat tacks here. So here we are, gessoing the figurine ready for painting. Gesso is essentially primer. It provides a nice, clean, grippy base to paint on. I'm actually going to invest in some black primer for the future, as it took quite a few coats to get a nice opaque black after using the white, which obviously wasn't ideal. I first watched The Exorcist when I was way too young. Maybe around 12, maybe a bit younger, maybe a little bit older. I can't remember. I'm not too big to admit that it scared me to death. For the longest time, I couldn't even look at a picture of Reagan without getting chills. Over time, however, and after watching it as an adult, and particularly since becoming a mother, it has become a firm favourite, if not my favourite film of all time. It is, in my opinion, a masterpiece, lightning in a bottle, and quite possibly the scariest film I've ever seen. It finds this primal, deep-seated fear within me, one that I really cannot explain, and plays it like a fiddle. The Exorcist is so much more than just a horror movie. At its core, it is a film about faith. The loss of faith and the mystery of faith. Father Karras, the true protagonist of the piece, is a broken man, doubting his belief and deeply grieving the loss of his mother. Played brilliantly by Jason Miller, a masterful actor and playwright, Karras ultimately sacrifices himself after luring the demon out of Reagan and into himself by jumping out of the window and down the iconic M Street steps. Of course, if you have seen The Exorcist 3, and if you haven't, you really should. It is, in my opinion, the only true sequel to the original film. The less said about Heretic, the better. You will know that the fall down those infamous steps was not the end for Father Karras. Incensed with rage at being thwarted, Pazuzu slips the spirit of the recently deceased Gemini killer into the body of Karras. The role of Karras was played again by Jason Miller, with Brad Dourif as the Gemini killer within him. Dourif, probably best known for his role as the voice of Chucky, the murderous doll, initially portrayed both the roles of Karras and the Gemini killer, James Veneman, during the third film. He was, however, recast with Jason Miller, but unfortunately, due to Miller's severe alcoholism, he was unable to recite a lot of the scenes, and the director decided to call Dourif back to perform the role of the Gemini killer, resulting in a dual performance of Miller being the body of Patient X and Dourif doing the heavy lifting as Veneman. I swear, I still get shivers whenever I hear Dourif bellow, "He is inside with us." Many actors were considered for the role of Karras in the original film, but it was Jason Miller, an actor who had never worked in film before and was more accustomed to theatre work, who secured the part. He lived amongst Jesuit priests while researching for the role and learnt how to say mass and confessions. He brought a quiet vulnerability to the role that I don't believe anyone else could. Born John Anthony Miller on April 22nd, 1939, Miller was educated at St Patrick's High School and later the Jesuit-run University of Scranton, where he studied English and philosophy. He later attended the Catholic University of America. He wrote the Pulitzer Award-winning play that championship season, and later in life would become the artistic director of the Scranton Public Theatre. He was married 3 times, most famously to Linda Gleason, daughter of Jackie Gleason. He fathered 4 children, 2 of whom went on to become actors, Jason Patrick of Lost Boys fame and Joshua John Miller. He was, however, a largely absent father. On May 13th, 2001, Miller sadly died of a heart attack, aged just 62. Throughout his life, he had struggled with alcohol and substance abuse issues that took a toll on his health. Fellow actor and close friend Paul Sorvino said of his struggle, "It's like watching your brother's house burn down. You let the police in, you let the firemen in, but you just couldn't reach him. It's very hard to watch when that gigantic a talent, who was really the end of a small list of great playwrights, go through that. It's a sad story. He was really, to me, the last of that great list." Miller left behind a great legacy as both an actor and a playwright. A bronze bust sculpted by Sorvino was unveiled in 2008 in Scranton. It is hollow and contains some of Miller's ashes. Miller's performance as Father Damien Karras is one of the best in horror history. He didn't just play the role of Karras, he inhabited him. It set a benchmark that others have strived to meet. May he rest in peace. Okay, so here you can see his hair's done, face is done, hands are done, body's done, little gravestone thing is done. That's all nice and dry. So now the next thing we need to work on is his backpack. I did consider removing the backpack, but I don't think the integrity of the figure would have held if I had. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into the items he went to get when they were about to perform the exorcism. Now, on to the fun bit, which is the face. So in The Exorcist, he just has the green and yellow eyes. And in The Exorcist 3, he has the green and yellow eyes, the slightly pallid complexion, and a few cuts here and there. I'm going to sort of marry the two, leaning more towards The Exorcist 3. So we're going to do that. We're going to start work on the eyes. We're going to get our dotting tools out. And we're going to do all the little tiny details. And there we have it, his face. So I've just given a little bit of detail around the eye, a little tiny bit of eyeliner, a little bit of detail on the mouth, just 3 little lacerations, and the iconic, let's see if we can get you to focus. Go on, focus. No, a bit further back, there we go. And the iconic green and yellow eyes. Spoilers for The Exorcist 3 and for the end of The Exorcist. If you've not seen it, he dies and is resurrected in The Exorcist 3. His body is taken over by the spirit of the Gemini killer and he has to dig his way out of his grave. So we're going to have him in a graveyard. So this will be the grass of the graveyard, and this stone here I'm going to paint. You can just see, just there, it's got a PA engraved into, well, impressed into it. It'll be part of the slip mould, and I'm going to turn that into a KA for Karras, and it will be like he's just clawed his way out of the grave. Okay, so the figurine's all done, base is done, gravestone's done, backpack's all done, little metallic buckles there, but the suit is altogether too shiny. So we've got our trusty PBO matte varnish, and we're going to put that all over the suit, saving the belt buckle and probably the belt, just to give that a different texture to the rest of the piece. And then when we're done with that, we've got these little grass tuft things that we can put on, maybe some autumn leaves, got our glue, tweezers, all sorts of gubbins. Right, let's get on with it. And that's him done. I'm really pleased with how he came out. If you could give the channel a like and a subscribe, that would be great. It really helps us out. We're getting very, very close to the shop opening, 1st of May 2026. Scary, scary times. We will have a couple of other Exorcist figurines for sale when we open. And as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next Monday. And bye-bye, brats.